Welcome, and ting. And we back with another one for you. And we in Romania, and this one is called Lele of Romanian Mythology. You know me, I'm into that mythology thing. You know what I mean? Because in my country, we have a lot of superstitions too. You understand? I had to do a video on that and I put it up here so you all could see we have as a human race, we all gotta have all our vibes in common and thing. You understand? And that's mythology is one of the things. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and YouTube and some simmer and see what they say. Let's see if there's some similarities in the mythology that of Romania, because a lot of Europe has influenced the Caribbean. Because a lot of our stuff came from Europe back in the day. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and take a look at this.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Amanda N and today we're going to talk about Iele. Not eel as in the fish, but Iele as in the feminine mythical creatures in Romanian mythology.
Okay, yeah.
My editor
Okay.
Julia actually recommended this to me and I've honestly never heard of them before, but I thought it would be interesting to explore some strange creatures from all over the world. So let's start with where they come from. Some claim that the Iele, come from the souls of women who were cursed and never managed to find peace, while others say they are the guardians of nature. And others still say they are the daughters of Alexander the Great, and others call them Dacian high priestesses.
This is
Sources
interesting.
don't agree at all, to say the least, and the origin of their name isn't all that clear either. The most agreed upon or accepted answer is that their name comes from Iele, meaning them, in feminine, as in referring to a group of women. Apparently, these women are only visible at night. They enjoy dancing in soft, translucent dresses with loose hair and eerily beautiful features and bodies. Those that claim to have seen them say they prefer walking in groups of 3, 5, 7, or 9, and their favorite places are lonely cliffs, mountains, glacial lakes, and sunny meadows.
Right off the bat, guys, right off the bat, let me tell you this. In island mythology, there's a woman called Alaja Bless. And same sort of wearing white stuff, you know what I mean? Only travel at night. In my island's depiction of it, it's a beautiful woman. She's wearing a wide brim hat. If you join my membership, I have a story that I'm telling from one of my books that I have written. I have to finish that up. But I've been storytelling about the Elijah Bless there. So if you want to learn more, just go join the membership. And boom, there's a whole book uh, that are well, not the whole book yet. I'm getting to the ending of it that I've been reading, depicting the story of Elijah Bliss and someone who got kidnapped by them. But so here's the premise of them. I'm gonna give you a quick premise of them. I don't know what the premise of these are, what they do yet, but I'm gonna give you a quick premise of the Elijah Bliss comes, presents herself to young bachelors or just straying men at night, whisks them away, and if they come back from being kidnapped, they have lost their senses, or some just don't come back at all. In other islands, the Lazarus is a lot more vicious, like she would tear into little children and stuff, which is certain. I think there's another Romanian folktale character that actually does that. And I can't remember the name of it, but I remember reacting to it here. But similarity to that same character. But let's go in and see what they really do. Traveling trees, Lazarus don't. They come by themselves and things like that. But let's.
According to one source, where they dance, the grass disappears, the earth
Oh,
remains burnt, and the circle becomes a sign of their passing. If someone crosses that place, he will get immediately ill forever. Even animals don't dare walk on those burnt pieces of land and avoid them as something unseen is still there, keeping
wow.
away any living creature for many years to come. It is also believed that eel prefer to bathe not only in lakes, but in people's fountains, water buckets, or even people's cups or glasses. This is probably why many people prefer to use lids or deposit their cups upside down.
Oh,
Although this source
wow.
claims that they're not evil, just everything they touch becomes dangerous, it also says that they severely punish any men that spy on them dancing, even mutilating them or leaving them mute forever.
No, that's a reverse strip club, isn't it? Oh my God, that was a stupid statement. But I just thought about that. If the men watch them dancing, they're gonna have to suffer some type of punishment, which is the exact opposite of them going into men going into a strip club and watching women strip. That's something I don't understand. I've never been to a strip club and I have no desire to go to one. Hey, if you're wondering what I'm drinking, coconut water. Oh, it's not a sponsor. It's real healthy for you and things like that. And since I can't go walk onto the beach and chop some coconut down and get the water, I gotta buy these. That's all. It's really good. If you all have it where you are, try it. Try it.
I wouldn't say this makes them harmless personally, but sources about them aren't in agreement about their origins, though interestingly enough, they have become famous by other names, such as Vila in Harry Potter. Introduced in Book 4, the women were breathtakingly magical and hypnotic, though they turned wicked and threw fire in the book when angered. They also had more bird like faces and beaks. The Vila in the book were rooting for the Bulgarians, and both Romania and Bulgarian lore shares many similar roots. It's also possible that they're connected to elves in the Western world, as one author speculates. This source also adds, one of my favorite Romanian stories about Iele is that they used to be the daughters of an emperor called Rusalem, and they hate all Christians because they abandoned the old faith. The story
Wow.
underlines their pre-Christian origin, which is, even after all this time, still very much part of the way we imagine the world. Also, sorry if you hear jingling. Yes, my doggo is here. She loves to interrupt, especially when I'm recording. Anyway, whether you consider them good or bad, though, apparently don't refuse an invitation to dance and don't be caught snooping. There are even more legends about them in Plopen in Constanta County, where they are too beautiful to be looked at.
Oh,
In others,
wow.
they are attracted to young ladies who suffer from love. Perhaps to lure her into their group, I'm not sure. Either way, Plopen has their own specific version of events. In popular folklore, the Iele are closely related to the Feast of Pentecost. There are many stories about the sleeping shepherds outside and find the next day surrounded by a circle of paralyzed grass. Of course, they've never been the same. In the morning, they've been found paralyzed, dumb, or deaf. Also, those who work on the day of the Pentecost are punished. Stories speak of mini swirls that appear out of the blue and hit the household, raising air from fan heads to animals and even humans. To please the Iele, people dedicated festival days to them. The Rusalil, the Stratul, the Sfredul, the Bukil Rusalir, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing all these wrong, the 9 days after Easter, the Marina, etc. Anyone not respecting these holidays was said to suffer the revenge of the Iele. Men and women who worked during these days would be lifted in spinning vertigo. People and cattle would suffer mysterious deaths or become paralyzed and crippled. Hail would fall, rivers would flood, trees would wither, you name it, even houses would catch fire. People also invented cures against the Iele, either preventative or exorcistic in nature. Garlic and mugwort worn around the waist, in the bosom, or hung from the hat, or hanging the skull of a horse on a pole in front of the house. Not sure how effective that would be, but nonetheless, it seems like everything was tried. At least in this village of Plopen, people do seem to take the Iele pretty seriously. Or, well, they used to anyway. I wasn't able to find any modern sightings of them, though they have apparently been discussed on an episode of Destination Truth in somewhat recent years.
Isn't it crazy how a lot of these old characters, it's hard to believe in them anymore with the advent of electricity coming. And because a lot of them, they did their stuff in the dark. You know what I mean? The only, it's probably harder to believe in them if you live in New York City, unless they're in dark alleys. But that still wouldn't be, a lot of these folklore characters seems to be joined with nature, with something to do with nature. You know what I mean? Like they walk on the ground and they burn the ground. They're gonna walk in a concrete jungle in New York and burn the ground there. You know what I mean? And they say don't walk there. So how are you gonna know? You know what I mean? But the advent of modernization have killed so many of these like really cool stories that were told, and like we've noticed before, or we've come to the conclusion of before, a lot of those stories were told to warn people of stuff or to keep people in moral standing for some reason. You know what I mean? And which would make sense that a lot of it predated Christianity because Christianity is like a succinct compilation of how to act and morally or humanely, uh, if you really read the Bible per se, to get that part out of it. But it's amazing, you know what I mean? You don't hear stories like that. And the thing about it that baffles me is that you have all these old folk tales, right? You should be hearing more stories or more movies coming out about stuff like that. Somebody needs to write a book concerning this here, you know what I mean? How you would write it, I don't know. Too many people going to take liberties and switch around the story behind them to suit some kind of modern thing instead of just leaving it as is and telling the story. But let's keep going.
Of course, this could be because they go by so many different names or share so many similarities with Nordic elves. Once again, though not much is known about them, they're described as being captivatingly beautiful, more beautiful than the sun with a spirit-like figure. Elves are also said to be about the height of a human or just above, and they're thought to have long lives or even be immortal. With the introduction of the Christian faith, their popularity dwindled, but when you read about them from the later Christian period, you may hear about them being seen at night, dancing over meadows and marshes and the circles that they leave behind.
That's another thing. Whoever takes over will spin a negative light on anything the people before them believe. It's the same thing they did with voodoo and obia and stuff like that. Back in the day, before the slaves were brought to the Caribbean, voodoo was considered a religion where they come from, or voodoo, like they call it in West Africa. It was considered a religion. Now, their practices may have been different because of where they live. Around the jungle and all of that, you know what I mean? Their practices may align with that sort of natural habitat that they live in. So when it came to the Caribbean, it probably changed a little bit because being captive, being held captive, they're going to want to have their belief, their mythology, help them through it. So then it became like them against the plantation owners, the colonizers. And the religion, they probably used it to try to cast spells, hence the fear of it, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Or it could be that those who colonized people and enslaved them spin it in a negative light like that so as not to have any kind of solidarity with the people because we know religions create solidarity within the people, right? That's where people get together, get congregate most of all. So a lot of stuff happen stem from there. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of movements, like thought, a lot of political movements stem from religious areas. You understand what I'm saying?
Circles are still known today as elf dances in Sweden. Yet, though it seems like there's surely no truth in this, we do have proof of these circles, rings of mushrooms that crop up throughout the world. A traditional Scottish rhyme talks about them as such. He wha tills the fairies green, nae luck again shall hae, and he wha spills the fairies' rings, betide him want and way. For weirdless days and weary nights are till his day and day, but when he wha gaze by fairy ring, na dule nor pine shall see, and he wha cleans the fairy ring an easy death shall dee. Yet, these fairy rings aren't caused by fairy mushrooms at all, or by fairy dances, but from a fungus known as mycelium. It grows underground and outward in a circle. As it grows, it steals nutrients from the soil and therefore starves the grass above, which is why the fairy ring has dead grass, or a burned spot to begin with.
Oh wow.
Then the budding
Oh wow.
umbrella-shaped
I must stop it here. They try to explain nature by these folktale characters. That stuff happened naturally with these mushrooms and the burnt grass and stuff. Wow. See how the vibe is vibing there? Oh wow.
fruits, or mushrooms, just grow above the perimeter of the fungus. So, does this mean that fairy rings were literally just created to explain away this really strange fungus? Honestly, that might just be the case. I don't want to assume that, but just glancing at this strange fairy ring or elf circle, yeah, it looks kind of bizarre. So it's not too far fetched to think that ages ago people may have just made up stories about spirits dancing in a circle to make it make sense to them.
Wow, wow. Which would cause a lot of people not wanting to walk there because they don't want to be cursed. A farmer could use that back in the day, you know what I mean? Saying, hey, don't walk there. They were here. If you walk there, many an evil shall befall you. And that would keep people off his land, not going there, you know what I mean? There was a Yule, what they call them, might get me, you know what I mean? Oh, wow, cool.
It sure seems possible. As possible as elves dancing in a circle does, anyway, right? Anyway, that's my theory on it. After all, the mushroom circle does have a logical explanation, and it is still known as elf circles or fairy rings, and that does seem to be the lore behind a lot of them. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are these fairy rings and eels or elves really just invented to explain away a fungus that looks a little bit odd? I'm really curious to know what you think in the comments, so let me know down below. Give it a like if you liked this video, and subscribe if you.
Yeah, it's so logical to think of it that way too. Because I mean, even in these modern times, look how many conspiracy theories are popping up to describe the conundrum that we find ourselves in. Prices are going up, food prices are going up. School systems are crumbling, healthcare is in jeopardy all over the world. You understand what I mean? So yes, there has to be some reptilians or somebody that's creating this and causing more trouble, or hey, it's those immigrants that are doing it. It's those gay people that are doing it. You know what I mean? So it seems like it's turned into a more human things to explain things, but in the meantime, belittling belittling them or those that they want to paint in a light different than others. Oh, he's gay because so. It's a lifestyle, it's this, is that, or look how savage these people are from this part of the world, it's in their nature and stuff like that. Just ways to explain stuff that we don't understand. If we don't understand a culture, we're going to explain it in a negative light because then we're going to have to feel better about it. Not everybody does that, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that don't. However, sometimes people in power do it so that they could have a distraction from what's really going on. Hope you guys are doing pretty good out there, man. I'll leave a link in the description for this video so you can go check it out. I'll also leave links to other videos on Romania that I've reacted to. I want to thank you all again for all the comments and all the suggestions and stuff like that. Please keep them coming. If you just want to say hi and talk to me, hey, be my guest. I try to answer every single comment as best I could between work and stuff like that. In the meantime, man, I hope you guys are taking care of each other, taking care of yourself. Be happy, all right? Cool runnings.